What if I told you that the incessant chatter in your mind, the endless loop of what-ifs and should-haves, isn't an inherent flaw in your being, but a habit, a conditioned response that can be profoundly, irrevocably broken? What if the key to silencing the storm of overthinking isn't a battle against your thoughts, but a radical shift in your very mode of existence, a return to a state of profound, unwavering presence? For nearly a millennium, humanity has grappled with the restless mind, but rarely has a figure offered such a comprehensive, actionable remedy as the towering intellect and mystic Imam Abu Hamid Al-Ghazali. In an age dominated by noise, distraction, and the relentless demands of the digital sphere, overthinking has become an epidemic. It steals our peace, drains our energy, and paralyzes our ability to act. We scroll endlessly, worry compulsively, and plan obsessively, all while missing the vibrant tapestry of the present moment. But what if there was an ancient methodology, honed by one of history's greatest spiritual scientists, that could not only manage this mental chaos, but dismantle its very foundations? We are about to embark on a journey into Al-Ghazali's profound teachings on presence, a methodology not of suppression, but of transformation. The Man Who Mastered the Mind, Al-Ghazali's Quest for Truth. To understand Al-Ghazali's remedy for overthinking, we must first understand the man himself and the context from which his wisdom emerged. Born in 1058 CE in Tus, Persia, Al-Ghazali was a prodigy, a legal scholar, theologian, and philosopher who rose to the pinnacle of academic prestige as a professor at the illustrious Nizamiya Madrasa in Baghdad. He possessed an intellect so sharp it was said to cut through the most intricate philosophical knots. He debated the most brilliant minds of his era, authored monumental treatises, and commanded immense respect across the Islamic world. Yet despite this outward success, Al-Ghazali found himself in an agonizing spiritual crisis. His crisis was not one of doubt in God, but rather a profound skepticism concerning the paths to ultimate truth presented by his contemporaries. The intellectualism of the philosophers, the dialectical arguments of the theologians, and the legal hair-splitting of the jurists all seemed to fall short. He found himself trapped in a quagmire of theoretical knowledge, recognizing that while his mind was full, his heart felt empty. The relentless pursuit of arguments and counterarguments had left him intellectually exhausted and spiritually desolate. He described his state as an overwhelming anxiety, a constant inner turmoil, a profound dis-ease that rendered his public life as a celebrated scholar a hollow charade. This intellectual and spiritual paralysis, which we might today call an acute case of existential overthinking, forced Al-Ghazali to make a radical decision. In 1095 CE, at the height of his career, he dramatically renounced his prestigious position, abandoned his wealth and fame, and embarked on a decade-long journey of asceticism and solitary contemplation. He left Baghdad, traveling to Damascus, Jerusalem, and Mecca, seeking not external knowledge, but direct, unmediated experience of truth. It was in this crucible of self-denial and intense introspection that he forged his profound understanding of the human psyche and the spiritual path, culminating in his magnum opus, Ihya Ulum ad-Din, the revival of the religious sciences. A work that remains a cornerstone of Islamic thought and offers an unparalleled system for inner purification. The enemy within, Al-Ghazali's diagnosis of Ghafla. Al-Ghazali didn't use the term overthinking, but his concept of Ghafla, often translated as heedlessness, forgetfulness, or distraction, perfectly encapsulates the modern condition. Ghafla, for Al-Ghazali, was not mere absent-mindedness. It was a fundamental state of spiritual slumber, a profound unawareness of one's true nature, one's purpose, and the ultimate reality of existence. It was the mind endlessly spinning on trivialities, consumed by worldly desires, anxieties, and attachments, all while missing the vibrant tapestry of the present moment. But what if there was an ancient methodology, honed by one of history's greatest spiritual scientists, that could not only manage this mental chaos, but dismantle its very foundations? We are about to embark on a journey into Al-Ghazali's profound teachings on presence, a methodology not of suppression, but of transformation. Cultivating Hadra, the art of profound presence. Hadra is more than just mindfulness. It is a holistic state of being, an active, intentional engagement with the present moment, saturated with awareness and spiritual intention. It is the antithesis of Ghafla. For Al-Ghazali, Hadra means being fully present with God, with oneself, and with the world, acknowledging the divine imprint in every atom of existence. But how does one achieve this profound state, especially when the mind feels like an untamed beast? Al-Ghazali outlines a multifaceted approach, a systematic training of the soul and mind, which can be broken down into several interconnected practices. These aren't isolated techniques, but rather interwoven threads that, when woven together, create a tapestry of profound inner peace and mental mastery. 1. The sanctuary of the breath, enfes, breaths, as anchors. Al-Ghazali placed immense importance on the breath, viewing each inhale and exhale as a sacred unit of life, a divine gift. For him, being heedless of one's breath was akin to being heedless of life itself. In modern terms, this is our anchor to the present moment, a fundamental practice in mindfulness. However, Al-Ghazali's approach imbues it with a deeper spiritual significance. The practice. Simply become aware of your breath. Feel the air entering and leaving your body. Notice the rise and fall of your chest or abdomen. This isn't about controlling the breath initially, but simply observing it. As Al-Ghazali would suggest, recognize that this breath is a gift, a connection to life itself. There is an implicit recognition of gratitude and wonder in this simple act. Application to overthinking. When caught in a thought spiral, gently return your attention to your breath. The breath serves as a neutral, undeniable reality of the present moment. Each time your mind wanders, and it will, simply, without judgment, bring your attention back to the sensation of breathing. This repeated act of returning builds mental muscle, strengthening your capacity for presence and weakening the hold of intrusive thoughts. It's not about stopping thoughts, but about shifting your point of focus away from their hypnotic pull. 2. The power of sacred focus, dhikr, remembrance or invocation. Perhaps one of Al-Ghazali's most potent tools for conquering mental distraction is dhikr, which literally means remembrance. While often translated as repetitive prayer or invocation of divine names, its essence, for Al-Ghazali, is the deliberate, conscious focusing of the mind on a profound truth or divine attribute. It is the conscious replacement of mental clutter with intentional, meaningful mental activity. The practice. Select a short, powerful phrase, a divine name, for example, Allah, or the compassionate, or a simple affirmation of truth. Al-Ghazali would emphasize the profound meaning embedded within these words. For example, repeating La ilaha illallah, there is no God but God, is not just a phrase. It's a profound statement about ultimate reality, about unity, about relinquishing all false attachments. The focus isn't on the sound alone, but on the meaning and its reverberations within your being. The act of remembrance fills the mental space that overthinking seeks to occupy. It's not a fight, it's a redirection. The repetitive nature isn't mindless. It's a deliberate repatterning of neural pathways. Over time, this practice cultivates a default state of inner focus, making the mind less susceptible to aimless wandering and more attuned to meaningful contemplation. Al-Ghazali believed that if the heart is filled with dhikr, there is no room left for the whispers of shaitan, the inner self or evil suggestions which often fuel obsessive thoughts. 3. The eye of contemplation, muraqabah, observation or meditation. Muraqabah goes beyond mere repetition. It is a deeper form of spiritual contemplation or meditation, a focused self-observation with the aim of purification and insight. It is a period of stillness where one intentionally observes the contents of one's mind and heart, not with judgment, but with an objective, detached awareness. The practice. Find a quiet space. Sit comfortably. Begin with breath awareness or a period of dhikr to quiet the superficial layers of the mind. Then, intentionally direct your attention inward. Observe your thoughts, feelings, and impulses as they arise, like clouds passing in the sky. Do not engage with them, do not judge them, and do not try to suppress them. Simply observe their nature, their patterns, and their origins. Al-Ghazali teaches us that true wisdom comes from this inner observation, leading to a deeper understanding of self and reality. 4. The mirror of the soul, muhasabah, self-accountability or self-examination. Muhasabah is a daily practice of self-examination, a spiritual audit of one's actions, intentions, and thoughts. This is not self-flagellation, but a gentle yet firm inquiry into how one has lived throughout the day, how one has honored or dishonored their deeper commitments, and where improvements can be made. It's a proactive measure against regret and future-oriented anxiety. The practice. Before sleep or at a designated time, review your day. Reflect on your interactions, your decisions, your emotions. Were you present? Were you kind? Did you act in alignment with your values? Where did Ghafla creep in? Where did your mind wander into unproductive territory? This reflection is not for judgment, but for learning and course correction. It's about taking responsibility for your inner and outer life. Application to overthinking. Many forms of overthinking are rooted in past regrets or future anxieties. Muhasabah addresses both. By regularly examining your actions and intentions, you process the past constructively, learning from mistakes rather than ruminating on them. This reduces the burden of guilt and opens the path for genuine forgiveness of self and others. For the future, it cultivates a sense of intentionality and proactive living. When you consistently align your actions with your values through muhasabah, you diminish the fertile ground for future worries, as you trust yourself to act with integrity and wisdom in the present. You are, in essence, preventing future overthinking by purifying the present moment's intention and action. It fosters a sense of inner integrity that leaves little room for the corrosive doubt that feeds overthinking. 5. The single point of focus, mastering present action.
Al-Ghazali's wisdom also extends to our engagement with the world. For him, every action, no matter how mundane, could be transformed into an act of worship and presence. The very act of doing one thing at a time with complete engagement is a powerful antidote to a fragmented, overthinking mind. The practice. Whether you are eating, walking, listening, or working, commit to doing that one thing with your entire being. When you eat, taste every flavor, feel every texture. When you walk, feel the ground beneath your feet, notice the rhythm of your steps. Observe your surroundings with soft focus. When you listen, truly hear the words, the tone, the unspoken message. This is often called deep work in modern terms, but for Al-Ghazali, it's a spiritual discipline. Application to overthinking. The overthinking mind loves to multitask, to divide its attention across a dozen mental tabs. By consciously choosing single-pointed focus in every action, you starve the overthinking mind of the fragmented attention it craves. You train your brain to concentrate, to immerse itself in the task at hand. This practice transforms daily life into a series of opportunities for cultivating presence, systematically dismantling the habit of mental wandering. Each fully engaged moment is a victory against the tyranny of the mind's endless chatter. It instills a profound sense of efficiency and peace, as energy that was once scattered is now consolidated and directed. The profound benefits of Ghazalian presence. The consistent application of these practices, according to Al-Ghazali, leads to a profound transformation, far beyond simply reducing anxiety. It cultivates mental clarity. The incessant noise subsides, allowing for clear thinking, better decision-making, and access to deeper intuition. Emotional stability. You become less reactive to external circumstances, finding an inner equilibrium that buffers against the fluctuations of life. Deeper spiritual connection. By quieting the ego and focusing on profound truths, you open yourself to higher states of consciousness and a more intimate connection with the divine. Authentic living. You move from merely existing to truly living, experiencing each moment with richness and depth, free from the shadow of past regrets or future anxieties. Empowerment. You reclaim agency over your mind, understanding that you are not a victim of your thoughts, but the conscious architect of your inner landscape. Al-Ghazali's path is not a quick fix, but a lifelong journey of self-mastery. It is a commitment to an ongoing process of purification and refinement. He understood that the mind's tendency towards Ghafla is powerful, deeply ingrained, and constantly influenced by external forces. Therefore, the cultivation of Hadra requires diligence, patience, and unwavering resolve. Overcoming the obstacles, the path of the seeker. Naturally, this journey is not without its challenges. The mind, accustomed to its patterns of wandering and worrying, will resist. Old habits are deeply ingrained. Moments of distraction will inevitably arise. The external world, with its constant demands for attention, will pull you away. Al-Ghazali was acutely aware of these difficulties. He emphasized the importance of muraqaba, or vigilance, and musharata, or making covenants with oneself at the beginning of each day, resolving to remain present. And at the end of the day, muhasaba, or self-accountability, serves to assess where one fell short not in self-criticism, but in a spirit of constructive learning. This cycle of intention, vigilance, and review creates a feedback loop that strengthens one's capacity for presence over time. The key is never to give up, never to judge yourself harshly for lapses, but always to return, gently yet firmly, to the practices. Each return is a victory, a reinforcement of the new mental habit you are building. Furthermore, Al-Ghazali understood the importance of uzla, or solitude, or khalwa, or retreat, periodically where one can intensely focus on these practices away from the distractions of the world. While not always practical for modern life, the principle can be applied by consciously carving out small, dedicated periods of quiet contemplation each day. Even if it's just 10 minutes of focused breathing or dhikr in a quiet corner of your home. These small sanctuaries of stillness become training grounds for the mind, strengthening its ability to remain present even amidst the chaos of daily life. Al-Ghazali's legacy, ancient wisdom, modern relevance. It is truly remarkable how Al-Ghazali's 11th century insights resonate with contemporary psychological and neurological understandings. Modern neuroscience confirms the brain's plasticity, its capacity to be rewired through conscious practice. Mindfulness, a cornerstone of many modern therapeutic approaches, directly echoes Al-Ghazali's Hadra. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, similarly teaches us to observe thoughts without identifying them and to challenge their validity, a practical application of muraqaba and muhasaba. Al-Ghazali was in essence a master of spiritual psychology long before the term existed. He provided a holistic framework for mental well-being rooted in spiritual truth. His methodology is not about escaping reality, but about engaging with it more fully, more consciously, and with greater peace. It's about recognizing that the greatest power we possess is the power of our attention, and that where we direct our attention dictates the quality of our inner world. Imagine a life where the incessant drone of overthinking is replaced by profound stillness. A life where your decisions are guided by clarity, your emotions are stable, and your actions are imbued with intention. This is the promise of Al-Ghazali's path to presence. The chains of overthinking are not forged by an external captor, but by our own inattention. They are broken not by violent struggle, but by the quiet, consistent, and profound cultivation of presence. Take this wisdom, internalize it, and apply it with diligence. Begin today. Choose a simple practice, perhaps 5 minutes of conscious breathing or a few repetitions of a meaningful phrase. Make it a sacred appointment with yourself, for in mastering your inner world, you master your destiny. The revolution begins not in the external world, but within the silent, profound chamber of your own conscious presence. Embrace Al-Ghazali's timeless legacy and step into a liberated mind. Your journey to profound inner peace begins now. What action will you take today to cultivate Hadra?